Hi everyone, and welcome to Under Thunder Mountain. It's the live stream chat with Dr. Kat. It's Thursday, noon Eastern Standard Time, and it's the first day of November. Welcome November, and welcome everyone. Thanks for stopping in. Goodness, can you believe last night came and went so fast? All the little dress-up beings were out in the night collecting candy. I hope you had a fun, safe night. Okay, well, you know, the world in which we live in, I talk about it all the time. It's a world where we have good and evil, and the encouragement here is always be the light. Choose the love, be the light. I guess don't let the darkness steal your love and light. It's there since the beginning of time, this sense of who we are as humans. I don't know why we haven't evolved beyond it. Some research indicates that it's actually part of our evolution, that we have this nature to pick up a stick and attack another person because they have what that individual wants. So we've created ways to live in a society to help alleviate that, and yet it's still there, and it can rob us of our love and of our light. It's a thief. And believe me, that which is not of love and light revels when it can take the light. So thus today, as I promised last week, and I hope we can all see it in the camera. You know, it's interesting, the video camera that I work with, I work off of a cell phone, but the video camera that I work with has just a little bit different of a pictorial representation and angle than when I go on the Facebook Live. So I hope that you can see this. Our emotions are the composite of our good and our not good. We have this emotional intelligence that's evolving. And so today I thought I'd do a little emotional intelligence demonstration with agua, water. Water is the pool of our emotional body. Right? This is me or you. This is the individual. And we go to our wellspring. You have a wellspring where you go for building up your emotional self, you know, meditation or different groups. So here we go. I went to my wellspring. Now I have my water, I have my energy. I'm in a good space with myself. If I'm careless, I may spill some of this. Then I'm going to lose that. I can't recover it because I've spilled it. And they don't cry, right, over spill. But I'd have to go back and try to get some more from my well. But here I have some in my well. Now I have, just as an example, one individual. But there's many, but just take one as an example. One person or one capacity of our life where we're putting our energy. So now I'm going to pour some of my energy into this other factor. Say it's another person. I'm sharing my energy with them in a positive, love and light way. Now, I'm sitting here. Now I've given up some of that. And you would think that when you're in a relationship with another that you're giving your wellspring into, that when yours gets a little more empty, because maybe you had to put it into another capacity too, that that will come back and pour back in. But what happens when there's this type of emotional, what would we call, like from last night's, I guess, vampire energy, they will take what was given, and now they're going to go over, because they have a couple of other side things that they want to pour their energy that you gave them into. Okay, now there's one. They have a little bit left, but they go, well, I'm going to give some more over. I'm going to give some to this one too. And that's that one. Now this person that came to you for that energy, they don't have very much left. And they're going to come back. Could you give me some more of that energy? Okay. Here's some more of my love and light energy. Your glass is getting lower. Theirs is higher. And they're spending it in other areas. Now, yes, the most important thing is we're looking at this as our emotional pool. Like our garden. How do we tend our garden? You know, our whole beinghood. Everyone has a garden. Okay. Or I sometimes call it a sandbox. Like if you're going to come into my sandbox and play with me, okay, then, you know, you can't come in and smash down my castles or throw sand at me. Same as when you plant a beautiful garden and you welcome someone in to your garden, you say, okay, you can be a part of my garden. But don't go smashing on the flowers and ripping things up and then taking off and leaving me with that. Okay? So how do we do that? I guess it's the question that we're kind of addressing today. And that was just a little example of our water energy and our emotional intelligence energy and what we're doing with that for ourselves. Do we have a place where we can go and replenish that part that gets pulled out or shared or accidentally dropped? Where do you go to replenish when the pull is of darkness or of an energy vampire is coming in and tearing away at your beinghood, your light, or we could call it your oil lamp. You know, if you give your oil to everyone who doesn't have any, when you need the oil, you might not have any. I guess it's about looking at how we're managing our energies and where we're depositing them, and are we receiving a return on what we're putting out, because everything's karma and everything is energy and everything is relationship. Everything is relationship. You know, I think it's funny when people say, I don't want to have a relationship. Okay, what exactly does that mean? Because if you're going to interact with me on any level, you will be in a relationship with me. Or if you're interacting with another individual, you are in relationship with them. Now there's different levels, but it's still relationship. And it's all relatable, and how we are in relationship with one another individually becomes a collective vibration. And then when it resonates back, there's an opportunity to take a look at what is it that we need to do as human beings on this planet to readjust ourselves so that we're moving more towards the light and less towards the dark, but we are remaining in a balanced place of that Goldilocks zone that I've spoken about in order for existence to continue. How do we do that? It's interesting because even by looking at the little children that came to the door last night, some of the costumes and outfits are so indicative of the culture that we're saying we don't want to have, but we program it into the minds of the children so early. I don't really know if we know what we're doing. That may sound funny, but I look at us as humans. We keep repeating the same patterns. We know about. Sorry, I have something in my eye. We know that makes sense too, doesn't it? We know about ourselves more, and we're able to interact with ourselves more. We're able to see our goodness and our badness more, because of the availability that we have right now through the portal. And it's valuable when we can harness it and use it towards good. And the more we go into that area, there's going to be more that's going to rise up. So here right now, we're in November, and we have voting in the United States next week, and we're in a world where this division and duality can make us lose our light. And I'm saying no matter what's going on in the world, that's at the greater world at large, by controlling our way that we're handling our love and our light and sharing it within ourselves and within our small community, that will resonate and expand itself, because energy attracts energy. That's how it works. And we're learning that more and more, and then we forget, and then we have to remember, and then we look at it and we go, no, we're not supposed to eat that kind of cereal. It has all this stuff in it that we know we're not supposed to eat. But now we look at it, it's repackaged, and it has maybe one label, say non-GMO, okay? That's all it needed. There's your trigger. It doesn't have any but it has all the other stuff. So we then feed that, and the children come through, and we're kind of, I guess it's hard to say, we have to work with the program that we have. The programs that we have define how we're supposed to look, our beauty, our hair. They define our makeup. They define, how you should respond to another person. Because when you're watching a certain programming, and that's general population, watching the programming that's being provided on the networks and in the literatures and through our portals that we're receiving information. When we're limited in terms of what we're watching, it becomes a part of the brain process. And then the food is a certain type of element that shifts and creates this type of animosity within the body. Everything is energy. And when we can shift backwards a little bit, which we can do very easily right now because we are in that retrograde of Venus. So we can make some changes, we can go back, we can have a redo, we can fix things. Always have hope. Look at the moon cycle when we're working with looking at the way that the earth and the skies relate to us. Watch those cycles. We're already coming back to a new moon. Can you believe it? Remember, I just went full moon, do the whole cycle with the crystals. They just keep coming around. Every new moon provides us with an opportunity to start anew. We can always pick ourselves up, brush ourselves off, and start all over again. I wrote something here. There's a saying, we always hurt the ones we love. Because hurt has so many different levels, right? And then I say, well, if that's the case, if that's our kind of programmed belief system, and kind of get out of jail free card, right? Then what kind of level of hurt do we do to one another with the people that aren't in that circle, the ones you love? That's why we have to look at that within ourselves individually. Who are we? What are we doing with our garden? Are we tending our own garden? Where do I have that? Let me take a look. I wrote something down. I was listening to one of the little garden shows, and it was just so interesting to hear. He said something so beautiful. He said, we're always together in the garden. And when I opened my garden to this person, we didn't battle. You know, keep your garden, kind of like a place where it's not about fighting. It's about being in relationship, being passionate about your garden. We tune into each other's gardens. We all have to be together in the garden. And what else did I write? And getting into relationship with your space as your garden. So I thought that was just interesting to hear in a garden metaphor, and we can talk about it in a sandbox, and we can talk about it in little containers of water that we pour out. But we tend our garden, or we can talk about it in the terms of the oil in the lamp, but we tend it. We tend our fire in the hearth. We tend what it is that is a part of who we are, and then we want to share it. And when we share, there's an interaction that sometimes comes in and stamps on your castle, or throws sand, or pulls your flowers out. And then we learn we have to watch how we manage our garden. And we have gardens in all different ways of our life. Our worship centers are our gardens. Our homes are our gardens. Your workplace could be a garden. How we think about where we go and what we're doing, we bring that energy with us. Everywhere we go, who we are resonates through us from the inside out. And when we're taking in, and I've said this, I know I sound like a, what would you call it? Just like repeating and repeating, but I think I'm going to keep doing it until Spirit tells me not to. It's about our food, and when we and the pharmaceuticals. So when we are in the water and the air, so as earth inhabitants. So when we're shifting that over in the name of risk-benefit ratio for mass-producing plants, and you know the whole story. You don't need me to tell you that. But when we start doing that, and we've been doing it for quite some time now, we've changed the nature of the food that we eat, and our bodies have to adapt. And in that adaptation process, we're getting quite a bit of disease. And they're using the pharmaceuticals to... There's no cure, not really. The pharmaceuticals are there to maintain, and then you need another pharmaceutical, and so it becomes part of an industry. And if you're going to be part of that movement, then you get the certain kinds of money and benefits that will help you to be a part of that movement. If you step out of it and you're different from that, you're not rewarded the same way. I can speak from perfect experience on that one. In many ways this is alive, but it also becomes a history log. And as time goes on, and we evolve, we always have the ability to look back in our archives and check out old videos like this. I'm a Turner Classics movie fan. I'm going to take a sip of tea, guys. How are you doing today? I see some waves and everything. I should come in and wave, but I have all this glassware in front of me from that earlier demo, so I hesitate. It's tight quarters to do little video wraps on the phone. But it's doable. Where there's a will, there's a way. And, you know, I can't help but think about time. We always talk about love, and we always talk about time. Time is relative, right? And we have time movements with the stars and the way that the planets are moving. But this weekend, we turn back time. It's time to turn back time. And it's an interesting way to look at how can we look at our time from another perspective. And we actually play with that a little bit, which is interesting. It shows us that there's a lot of play with time. So it's time now to turn back time. And when we're talking about the concept of love, as I've been always bringing in this idea that no matter how dark the times become, find a well pool, and that spirit, you know, that's a spirit connection, where you are able to restore what's taken and depleted from our essence as human beings here on planet Earth. So with the sense of love, we've talked about this concept of unconditional agape type love, just the sense of the loving of one another without the restrictive divisions that we've created as we've evolved, we've separated. And through that separation, we have division. And through that division, it's, you know, even our languaging. You hear people talk, oh, my tribe and tribal. It's why? Why are we using that language? Why are we reverting back to the concept of this is, you know, the Walking Dead and the living zombies? And what is it? Is it a fascination? Or a manipulation? Don't ask me, I just popped that one out because that's not what's in my notes in front of me. In front of me is, does love have time limits? Is love bound by time? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth my soul shall reach, right? What is it? What is it about love? Streaming through our structure, our energy circuits, our connectors, our receptors, our feet, our fingers, our toes, our pressure points, our ley lines, our neurons and receptors and glia and brain electrical systems. We're wired for love. We're wired for it. It's there within us. We have the capacity to love. We've seen it in our human beings. We've watched it. We've seen each other. We've gone, oh my God, isn't that the most beautiful expression of love? What human beings will do for one another? It's amazing. It's beautiful. When we're not divided by who we are, but when something comes at the entire part of us, we come together. When we're separated out, we separate more. And yes, we need to be able to separate out sometimes to fill up. But there's this oceanic wave of coming in and then going out and coming in. That is our interactive nature. Isolation. We weren't, no man is an island. We weren't designed to be alone. And so during this Venus retrograde, which it's going to be retro until November 16th, it comes back forward, but then Mercury goes retro. So even though we have the planet of love and light here and available for us to reharness and tap back into the beautiful side of love, not the dark side of love, then our ability to communicate that is a little bit stifled because Mercury's gone backward. Think of Mercury, we always talk about it. Oh, the machinery didn't work. The message didn't get sent. The mail wasn't delivered. The computer went down. The car didn't work. That's Mercury. When Mercury goes retrograde, watch. See, you'll notice these little twerky things happening because the planetary star activity affects the earth activity. The ancients knew it. Everything is energy. The duality of life. You know, creating a garden, and as I've said before, find your Goldilocks zone. And Venus is still retro. That retro is going to last, and then Mercury is going to go retro. Tapping into that. Why do I talk about it? Because I think when we have knowledge, we have the ability to then be more in tune with what's going on and less reactive, more reflective, and then we're able to even sometimes have foresight so that when something is occurring, we've already pre-thought and we've had an opportunity to foresee so that we're not knee-jerk reacting. We've seen enough of that. My goodness gracious. We certainly need an evolution, don't we, folks? Okay, so choose love. The evil that men do. I don't want to isolate it to men. The evil that people do. People can do evil things and people can do beautiful things. Period. I mean, and we have a choice. And unless there's something that's caused you to be so sick that you're not able to make those choices, and we have that happening in our society, but we have vindictive, evil things going on too. But we can change that. We, as individuals, individually change. We create a collective change. Margaret Mead, anthropologist, she said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. One person affects the change, and the group, attached to that, and that then creates the greater change. But never doubt that. Never doubt the ability and the power of the individual to have a magnetism that can collect like-minded, whether it's for good or for evil. There's good and bad in every profession because it's good and bad within the human being. And depending upon that individual, you can have the most beautifulest human souls and you could have the most not beautifulest of human souls. And we all live together with knowing that. Never let the darkness steal your light. Keep that garden safe. Let's see, I don't know. I've got a lot on this particular topic. As you know, I'm creating a manuscript for another little book, but just taking a look at the way that we've created division and the fact that we still have this kind of divisive energy within us as a people. When we create these divisions, it creates this sense of other, or this sense of, those people, or them, or, that other. And there's a psychology around the creation of the other. And that's designed to create more hate, kind of, So I think when we're evolving and we're able to communicate more with one another. Now, mind you, I'm thinking out loud here. And I always welcome your comments and your thoughts. And even though I can't get to them today because of the glass demonstration, I'll check in on them later. But, I think that the more that we're evolving and the more that we're able to collectively be around one another through the portals that we have of communication, and with the proper intentions of love and light, we will be, as Margaret Mead said, never doubt that, you know, a small group of citizens can indeed change, create change, generate change, and change for the good. Even in the midst of darkness, change for the good. And we have these archetypes of, you know, the good over evil archetypes throughout history. So choose the archetype that's the you know, the light bearer, the wand weaver, you know, the messenger of the heart, and shine that light like a beacon, like a shield towards the darkness that comes. You know, a return to sender. I think when we talk about, you know, being in touch with the light and the dark, it begins within ourselves. We start within ourselves, and we do basically an investigation of our inner world. We want to look within, and when we're just focusing on the exterior, on the outside part of the world, there's so much that's illusory that we lose touch of that inner light. You know, for me, it's with the Reiki and the meditation and prayer, my connection that I have with my God and Spirit. And so I spend quite a bit of my time reflecting throughout the day. It doesn't really matter even if I'm driving a car. I will still be reflecting, and I know that there are others that are doing that, because we're praying against the group that's doing cell phone work and texting and listening to music and eating food and maybe yelling at the kids in the back seat, and they're not driving their car at all. So prayer is a way that we can create a love and light, I guess, fence, boundary around our garden, so that we don't allow that to come in and stample on our pretty flowers and turn our world upside down, and then run out taking the flowers, giving it like the water experiment to someone else. Capiche? You get what I'm saying, guys, on that one? I hope you're getting it. I see everyone. And again, I hope you're all doing good today. For those who ate the candy last night, I hope you didn't eat too much and have a sore tummy today, like a little kid. They had all their biggest bags they could have last night. So how do we excavate our inner world? And, you know, we can spend time in silence, we can spend time in prayer, we can do our dream journal reflections, we can tap into places that we might not have known were even available to us. The more we spend time there, the more we get to know. The more we know, the less we know. That's the way it goes. So we start to expand, and then I always recommend that we remember that even after we do that, you know, we have to come back into a room, we have to re-enter into an environment, and we have to be able to integrate in with the group of people that we're associating with. So re-entry is just as important, remembering how to do that. I know it's a tough time out there right now because there's a lot going on, but again, I empower within everyone the ability to make their own individual changes, create a space, have your sacred space, be able to go there. You know, that sense of, well, there's so much going on that I don't have control over and that I can't effect the change for, but I really encourage everyone to individually create the change within ourselves. I truly believe in energy. I believe in the effectiveness of energy. I believe that it is contagious. I believe that it's important for us to spread positive news over our worlds where we're connecting. And again, I'm not being Pollyanna. You know, one can be sad and have a positive approach to that. One can be angry and have a positive approach to that. I'm not nullifying emotions that are part of who we are as a human being. What I am encouraging, however, is our ability to have a relationship with our emotions so that we're not letting them take us to a place where we're acting in a way that's more on the negative side than on the positive side. And when we have a consciousness, it's easier to do that. When we're filled with some of the foods and the pharmaceuticals, it affects the mind. And the mind may even be looking at me going, whatever that lady is saying, she's crazy. Okay? So I know, because I've been through this portal and I've experienced it. So as I'm watching, even I'll look at the programming where the younger adults are doing the producing. I also do things over at Nutmeg TV. I'm looking forward to getting back over there. We're doing a little competition next week. That's going to be fun. But we want to make sure that how we're approaching everything, we're approaching it from a positive perspective. And that's within us, each and every one of us individually. But if we're using products that are creating a toxic environment within our world, it affects the organs. And when the organs are toxic, it sends toxic messages to the brain. So it's very physiological. A lot of the things that are happening to humans that are causing dark side activities actually comes from bad food and bad elements of whatever is being used and promoted for ingestion. And so cleaning up that part of our environment and not producing bad food and feeding the children bad food and then wondering why they behave this way and then blaming it on a particular group, and it has to do with food. So, and then again, understanding like poverty and the food related to poverty, that's why GMOs were created. We wanted to genetically modify so that it could withstand drought, so that populations could be fed. So you see, there's always this risk-benefit ratio that we as humans are inputting in, and then we watch what the results are, and as I said, tests are done for that, and that takes time. But we have such an instant world that we live in now. So we can see the benefits of being able to feed populations, and yet at the same time we can see the risks of when that becomes the food and the body isn't responding to it well at all, and instead the body is becoming diseased from it. We've awakened to that, but we're going to replay it for a while until enough citizens join together and stop. It usually starts up at a level and then it slowly comes down, or it starts at a grassroots and it erupts up. But it's going to start somewhere. All right, so here we are. How's everyone doing? I always wait for someone just in case someone has a question, because we're coming up to the 45-minute. So when I'm going to recap, when we're talking about our emotional self, we have our water. This is our emotional being. This is our individual self. We were able to get from Spirit, and we have a nice amount of good, positive energy in here. And now the person comes back that's come a couple of times asking, and you've given. My question to you today is, what are you going to do with this water this time? When this comes around and says, excuse me, I'd like some more of that. What are you going to do with your water the next time? I think that's a question that you can ask yourself. I've been asking myself that question. I'm always grateful that I have a place to go and refill, but at the same time, overwatering or giving water, so much water out is can be very depleting if you're not able to keep refueling it. Sometimes it's nice to just say, well, thank you, Spirit, for the lovely water. That's some nice water, Spirit. I'm really enjoying all this delicious water. Can you send someone the next time that has some water that they can share with me too? Thank you, Spirit. We have Ruby here today too, but he's sleeping. Balance. Balance is the key. We're going to have a duality of our nature. We are able to recognize who we are if we take a moment to stop and breathe, or take a moment to spend some time with Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for the water. That's wonderful insight. Thank you for sharing that wisdom with me. Right? And then we're able to come back reflecting out with a more clarity. As I said, remember the identify, reorient, appreciate, and then bring clarity into any situation. It's just a matter of taking that extra bit of time. And there's no reason why we shouldn't say that we don't have time, because we're turning the clocks back this weekend. So we have more time. I like to tease, because that's one of the ways that I have a playful attitude in life. Some people don't understand that, but for me, that has been one of the ways that I've been able to go through a lot of, we all have our trials, right? And it's part of our growth. But I always, ever since I was young, always said, I wanted to be able to grow older with a light heart and a good mind and a strong body. And so in order for me to have that, I've worked on it, right? And then you get your little trials that come along, and the tests, and they take you through another portal, and you stay on the lane of love and light so that you can come through the other side with a positive perspective. In the book Under Thunder Mountain that I wrote, it certainly isn't my personal journey. I can and will and am planning on sharing that in larger groups very soon. I can sense that time is coming. But what I did with that book at the time when I wrote it, which is many, many moons ago now, but what I did was I transmuted my experience and changed it into something that created a hope and an inspiration and a playfulness during a time when what I was doing was something that was not being done at all. Not really, and if it was being done, there were very few people who were doing it successfully, and if they were being successful, it was very hard for other people to be aware of them. And that time is changing. So do check out the little book that I wrote, Under Thunder Mountain. It's on Amazon eBooks. It's available and affordable. You'll see other versions of it out there because the book has been published. It was published, and as again, it just wasn't the right time for it. Way too probably before its time. But that's okay. It's had a lot of time to be out and be moving about and influencing and affecting individuals. And through that individual, I see the collective forming. So keep up the love and light work. Be the light. Support one another's light. Take care of your garden. Watch who we let in. We have to watch our gardens now, more so than ever, as we're growing as a humanity. It would be wonderful if we were all beautiful, love and light people. It would be wonderful if all humanity was all right. That would be, I don't know. But that's not the world that we live in. The world that we live in has light and it has dark. And we pray for all of those who have been taken by the dark. And it certainly is a sad time every time we have to see loves lost by darkness. And we hope everyone can make it through keeping the light. And I guess that's the biggest thing is don't let the dark win. There's no winners or losers in this. I don't know. I'm not much for playing games. You know, I'm playful, but that's a personality. I don't like to play games on people and say, oh, I didn't really, I was just using you for this game I was playing. In other words, like, thanks for your water. I'm going to go take it somewhere else. So protect your pool of emotional self and make sure you keep it replenished. Crystals are helpful and they're available everywhere. You know, all you have to do is type in something about crystals and there's a ton of people selling them. And I've shown you how to cleanse them and I've shown you how to charge them. All you have to do is go back and take a look at a rebroadcast. We'll do more of it in the future. It's always a rinse repeat. Everything that we do as human beings is something we've already done. We're just doing it a little bit differently. We're saying it again, repackaging it and giving it out. The tiring of giving the message of love, well, I don't know when that will come. When is someone tired of spreading love? I'm sure the darkness goes, well, I hope they'll get tired, right? And the darkness says, I hope nobody spreads that love. So if you're watching this and you know that this is about spreading love, share it. Be bold. Spread some love. Put the honey on the peanut butter and jelly, okay? Go ahead. Stand up against that which says, this can't go any further than there. And that way, we'll keep all this darkness happening. We'll keep everybody unhappy, and we'll keep everybody angry, and we'll keep everybody in strife and jealous and in division. Not if you're in the love lane. The love lane says, yep, no. Now we know that there's evil. Okay. That's out there. That's the big theodicy question. God is good. God is omnipresent and omnipotent, and yet evil exists. Okay, so there's this good and bad that we have, and it's up to us to choose good, and the more we choose good, the less there's going to be of the evil. And as we stand up collectively, as a group of individuals, there's more energy towards that. And we become like a ball, let me see if I can find here, like a ball of energy that then we can harness that. That's what the dark side does too. We see it in the little movies, the Star Wars and things like that, with the laser beams of the good and the evil, right? It's a metaphor for the reality of the fact that we're in this clash of this constantly. And it's our individual essence to stand up. We want to stand up in love. We want to stand up in light. And whenever anyone is going to come in and start to say, well, that garden of your garden of love and light, don't let them in. Don't give them don't water it. What is it? My friend, she has the sled dogs. Or don't feed the, wolves, I guess is the statement. What you feed will grow. So, don't let that in. It's not about being aware. It's not about being spaced out. It's not about being zoned out. It's not about in any way being not on this planet. It's about being on this planet with a different vibration that's not going to buy into that concept. And so therefore it becomes vilified, or it becomes made a joke of, or it becomes demonized, or it becomes otherized. And that, I say to all of my love and light workers out there, we're going to still be the love and light. And we're still going to talk about eating healthy food and choosing organic and taking time and doing your prayer and doing your meditation and remembering the holistic self, honoring the temple, filling up the cup, keeping the lamp full, and choosing the light. All right. That's, I guess, the biggest message that I have today with everything that's going on. We're turning the clocks back. It's the first day of November, and in the United States, it's voting next week. So here we have an opportunity as a collective group of individuals. Whatever it is that we are, we have a chance. And then we can do what we can do with what we have. Do the best that you can do. That's all you can do. Did you do your best? Yep. Okay. If you didn't do your best, say, oh, no, I could have done better. All right. Well, do it again. That's within you and your individual who you are, That's not an external energy that's coming at you saying these things. That's within you. Rise up, wake up, rise up, right? It's time to wake up, rise up. So I love you all. You know how much I love you guys. I don't know why this message was so dark today. I think I didn't put the overhead light on. I hope it wasn't too much in the dark. I had the little window open, and I just got caught up, and the sun came out for a wee bit. It was kind of nice. All right then. Did you have a good lunchtime? This is my lunchtime tea. Listen, let me know how you like the show. Don't forget to leave some comments. Put a heart up. Be brave and share, I have the video and I see you all viewing it, and I think it's fabulous. I'd like to see some shares. If you can share, that'd be great. And slice off a little piece of the pie and give it to a friend. And remember, the demonstration that I did in the beginning is very basic and very simple, but so very true. Keep your glass full and have a place where you can go and refill. Know where you're emptying your emotional self, because there are there are individuals that will come during this time, during the dark season of Venus, going still in retrograde, that will leave you with a barren garden. That is not something you want. I hear my little puppy crying. That's always the sound that it's time to say bye-bye. Blessings and be well. Stay positive. Continue to build the affirmations within yourself. Keep a positive light. The me turns into we very easily because it's the energy of who we are that will allow another entire group of individuals to become positively affected and infected with love and light that stands against the darkness. And it's a matter of action. We're able to do this actively and with good intentions towards one another as human beings on the planet. Blessings. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Looking forward. Have a good weekend. Don't forget to send those clocks backwards. Use that extra hour well. Bye-bye.